pulling. Trucks. And then he crosses. Super stop. He's for a long time. So we appreciate him doing anything I give to make it out. They roll out. That was rumor. Decent track and he's like super tight. Hang on to it. Go. Yeah. 11 tractors. Well, we did have 11. One half of Mark Palmer's team there broke burn a piston on Friday night. 30.532 tires on this. It's a little tractor, but it's got big tires. I'll show you why they are on there. Well, with a nice hook there. Nice way to.
Hello, everybody. It's Wednesday, November 30th, the last day of November. I can't believe how fast this year is going, Lasetto.
Oh, no doubt.
It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. So welcome, everybody. Greg and I are doing our special edition. Once a month, we're going to get together. We're going to talk Heartland Truck and Tractor Pulling, a division of the Outlaw Truck and Tractor Pulling Association. And Greg, you're the president or the owner. I don't know your official title, so I don't want to call you anything wrong.
No, listen, and this is part of the where we went together with Outlaw.
Yep.
I was the owner. You know, we started it with a group of 3 of us, and I guess I'm the last guy standing, but we have since merged our group in along with the Outlaw Truck and Tractor Pullers, and now basically it's coming down to where, you know, I do work and manage pulls for Outlaw, but we are part of Outlaw.
Yep. Awesome.
Just the division. We are the Heartland Division.
With this first show, Greg, I really want to just I want to educate everybody on what Heartland is, you know, maybe some history before, and then now that you're part of the Outlaws, I want to know, you know, we'll kind of go into that. So let's start with the history of Heartland. Well, first of all, who is Greg Lussetto? Where do you live? What do you do for a living? Give us your biography, Greg.
I live right on the edge of the earth in western Nebraska.
Is it flat? Is it flat, Greg?
Oh, we're 50 miles from Wyoming. We're basically, we're almost 400 miles from Lincoln, if that gives you any clue. I mean, it's quite a ways.
Wow.
If we go back to the ancient history, my dad started pulling in 71 with a Farm All In as soon as he got out of the service. And he campaigned that tractor after a couple of years of local. Then he started running basically Region 3, pulled at the first Toma pull. And I mean, he, you know, with Indy Super Pull, all kinds of cool stuff when I was just a little kid. So, you know, I grew up in this. I loved the sport. I really don't know any different, I guess, you know. And
that's awesome.
As we continued on, as I got out of high school, you know, I always helped and went along, but it was my parents' tractor. My mom also started driving, you know, in the late 70s. And my dad presented me with an offer to put a tractor together that he had started, a 560 alcohol tractor, and built my first tractor debuted in 93. So I pulled basically since 93. I got involved, board of directors on the Colorado Truck and Tractor Pullers, which was an NTPA group from the 70s. And, you know, it kind of went from there. And in 2011, a group of us started the Heartland Pulling Series. We really tried to be local, tried to not travel as much, and, you know, keep it pretty local and budget classes, you know. So we kind of headed down that division or state group thing, you know, early on. We started off it was pretty pretty thin in the beginning. You know, we started off with 4 pulls and 11, and leased another sled from a competing group, and we just kind of kept building up to where we purchased our own sled, and then you know, built it up to where we had as many as, you know, 15, 16 events.
Wow.
But I tell you, I don't know if I want to go into too much detail, but I started noticing that we were kind of plateauing. We had a very good group. There was nothing wrong, but we had some events that needed more, you know, and that's where the conversation got started with Outlaw.
Yeah, that
you know,
was going to be my question, Greg. What was the, I guess, the need or the conversation or the transition? How does or why does a state level association, I'm just, for lack of better terms, you know, I'm going to call it state level, want to join or need to join, or what are the benefits, Greg, of a Heartland division connecting with an Outlaw truck, you know, a national association?
Yeah, well, the one thing also behind that, we also started with USPA insurance, which is very good. I mean, honestly, it rivals NTPA insurance. We had that from the beginning, but we wanted to be able to step up and have some larger events, because one worry of mine was every event out west here, same classes. Okay. You know, and we wanted to try to bring maybe some limited pros or some super farms, or, you know, something bigger than what we had in our regional classes. That got the conversation started, but you know, as Kurt and I and Dave Nelson talked, it got to be much more than that. You know, I really enjoyed when I would go out and pull like the Rock Valleys and the Wisners and some of the other smaller outlaw events. Pretty soon I got to this app, which I was reluctant to start using. And man, once I did, I knew we needed this in our group, you know, and the problem is it's just economies of scale. Yeah. How does a small state group or local group, you know, we can't afford to pay for that. Right. You know, and we have all these fixed costs because, you know, the things that from the pullers and the fans, what you don't realize is all the money that goes in behind the scenes of websites and the promotions and all this stuff that go into it. It just, you know, because Kurt presented me the idea. It was actually his idea that maybe we join up and work together, you know, and it didn't take long to think about it. And, you know, it just made sense. And it's helped us out tremendously with a marketing footprint. You know, while we gave up our Heartland name per se, the Outlaw brand is very, very well known in our area. We have, though we're 350 to 400 miles away from Wisner, Nebraska, you can't believe all the people that I see from home when I show up there. You know, you don't think about those guys driving that far, but we got a lot of locals that go to Ravenna and these other pulls, and you know, that name meant a lot as well.
No, that's neat. Greg, was there, like when you started Heartland in 2011 and you had 4 pulls that first year, was there another association out there, or where were you guys just kind of brush pulling? What was happening?
No, and I tell you, we've got a really unique atmosphere out here because, you know, I get back into eastern Nebraska and, you know, probably in your neck of the woods, and there's farm stocks and this, and that stuff doesn't exist out here. Really? Be honest with you, there's some antique stuff, and then there's our bigger stuff. And our bigger stuff isn't big stuff. We're talking the 85 Light Limited Pro is one of our premier big classes. We have like the light mod that Outlaw has, and just, you know, pro stock pickups. But we basically, I don't know how to say this, come off nicely, but we started off all in one group, and through some things that split off into 2 competing groups and us as a third, you know, and it's unfortunate that happens. It kind of, it hurt the sport, you know, I won't lie to you, but we have, you know, we've kind of staked out our little area, and we've done our thing now for, you know, 11, 12 years now. Yeah. So there are other competing groups nearby. Okay.
No, I was curious because, you know, that's not you know, you said the edge of the world, and that's where, you know, like after this show tonight, I have my West Coast truck and tractor pulling show. I'm trying to let people know back here in the Midwest and the East that there is truck and tractor pulling in California.
Oh, I want to throw a couple things out about that. You don't realize people don't realize how the sport is growing. And to me, it's incredibly exciting. Part of my day to day, I spent an hour talking to Carl Werner with the Montana truck Truck Pullers Association that he's trying to get going.
Okay.
You know, and a lot of people don't realize that in the 80s, we pulled an entire circuit in Wyoming and Montana. And I mean, there was some very good tractors out there. You know, numbers weren't huge, but there's very good mods, some good 2-wheel drive trucks, 4-wheel drive trucks, you know, and we brought some of the diesel and alcohol tractors up there. But I mean, it was a very good deal. It was also Wyoming, Montana were a member state of NTPA.
Okay.
So that, and I'll throw one more out there. We're working on a series, and this is outside of Outlaw, but I have friends in Arizona, and I'm working with them to try to get a winter series started down there.
Okay. Is James Phillips one of those guys?
Yes. He was, I took my sled and a few tractors, and a couple more of our guys went down to Wilcox, Arizona, and pulled with the Western States Pullers. And, you know, we're hoping to bolster them, we'd like to bring them up to speed to like what is going on to the east, because one drawback to the pulling out west is it's pretty fractured. There's several different vehicles that, you know, they almost don't, it's not real structured class wise. You know, you might find there's actually a 5-inch pro stock out in Utah, you know, which you don't think about, some limited pros.
Right.
We've actually pulled in California back, back in the late 2000s, you know, and it's interesting to see the equipment that's out there because it's different, but there's pulling going on in these areas, you know.
No, that's great. Carl Warner says, thanks, Greg, for the shout out.
Yeah. Enjoyed the conversation this afternoon.
James Phillips says, glad to have met Greg at the Wilcox. I'm not sure what SP stands for, but I know it's a Wilcox pull in Arizona.
Western States Pullers.
Okay, so I'm getting a little education too with all of this. That's good. And then again, if you're just joining us, we got over 100 people watching live, Lasetto. I'm happy. I'm glad we got these kind of numbers. I didn't know what to expect with our first show like this. This is awesome. Greg and I are going to get together once a month, or at minimum once a month. If Greg's got more to talk about, we'll get together and just talk about the Heartland Division of the Outlaw Truck and Tractor Pulling Series. And tonight, we really just wanted to get in the history of this. And this is something that you can go back and watch on YouTube, Facebook. This will be on our Let's Grow Pulling podcast on iTunes and Spotify for people. But really get the history of Heartland, the conversion to the Outlaw Truck and Tractor Pulling Association, what that's done for his group, and then kind of where he sees the future going as well.
Yeah,
I want highlight the banquet a little bit, and just keep talking, promoting your club.
Yeah.
So
one thing I will add, the one thing that really sold me is I went down to the Missouri banquet, not this year, but the year before, and I sat down with Kurt and Dave, and the vision that they have and where they're heading and the people they have in place thoroughly impressed me. And that really led me to want to be a part of it, because I felt comfortable that we were all on the same page and we could grow along with them. And I think we can help Outlaw as, going forward, because the dates are getting scheduled so full that I think that we need to start bringing in levels, and you're going to see the biggest level of like the steel in terms, but the Grand National down to, I'm really dedicated and I want to make this state level really go and grow, and be as professional as what they do at the large pulls.
Yep, I agree. Now this is one of your classes pulling at the Nebraska State Fair. What's this class called? Classic
Mod. And there's something else I need to add. So after we joined up and finally got the deal done with Dave and Kurt, we were getting some interest from some other groups, and the Mid-America Truck and Tractor Pullers that are mostly centered in the eastern Nebraska area, and they were a state level group of which I'd worked with at the Nebraska State Fair before. We entered into conversations with them coming along, and they voted as a membership to come along, and so then we spread from our western Nebraska and southeastern or northeastern Colorado and eastern Wyoming. Then we spread and went from central Nebraska clear to basically western Iowa. And that, it's posed some challenges, hasn't, first year and everything late, because we didn't get everything done until February. We were behind the 8 ball to get things booked and moving for the 22 season.
Yeah, but that's I don't know if it wasn't for last minute stuff. I don't know if tractor pulling would exist.
Oh yeah, I know, but it's tough because you look this year, we have 3/4 of our schedule
Yeah.
pretty well nailed out, and we didn't do that last year until February.
Yep.
I appreciate the guys hanging with me, and we made the best of what we could, but I'm really looking forward to getting after it this year. And the Mid-America portion of it, there's a lot of growth that can be done just because of the amount of pulls that want to come on board. Be honest with you, the national series can't handle them all.
Right.
That's where I hope that we can fill in and make them proud and carry their banner.
No, absolutely. If you watched the show last night with Ron, I wasn't on there. My daughter had a basketball game, but Ron and Chandler, who works for me for Beer Money, were chatting, and Ron's talking about adding some additional classes. And that's where you need state level associations, or like the Outlaw calls them, divisions, to keep growing. And my secret goal, I want to connect California with the Outlaws, and fill the gaps with. And I've said that to Kurt and Dave. It's not going to happen overnight, but I went out there and met Brian Massetti and those MLM Motorsports guys, and I saw the Max Cackle guy, and I saw everybody at that Golden State Invitational. And I'm telling you, Lasetto, they are good people just like us. And it's not the California that we see on the news. And if you wouldn't have told me, if I couldn't have seen the mountains and known the palm trees, I would have thought I was in the middle of Iowa or Nebraska or South Dakota or whatever. It was just business owners, farmers, hardworking, blue-collar people that just want to go out and go truck and tractor pulling.
They're the same people. They just happen to live there, right?
Yep. And and they even say that. It's unfortunate that, but the news and the media always makes California sound so bad, especially for us people in the Midwest. But it is what it is.
The ag-related people, just like you're saying, we pulled out there for 3 years. It's great. We've enjoyed it. I would love to see some more structure, and the more that we can get the class rules the same. And this is, it's easy to say and hard to do, but that is what we need to do. We need that guiding light. Yep. And that's where I think Outlaw can come in and, provide some leadership, rule making, the kind of the glue that can hold some of these deals together. And
it's always so unfortunate, Greg. Somebody comes in and, wants to add a half an inch on a charger or add something to a fuel pump and leave everything else the same just to fit that specific thing. And that's where like a board of directors really doesn't let that happen, because you can't keep everybody happy. If you can't keep everybody happy, Greg, you know that. You know what I mean?
Not a chance.
And that's where
we'll do our best.
No, I know that. And I'm not saying you have to be all Hitler-like, but you have to say, hey, we're doing this for the good of everybody, not just you, Mr. Trucker or Tractor Puller, just because you want to do this. And that's where I'm finally starting to see associations say, no. There's classes above you. If you want more, just move up. Why screw up a good class? That has been my biggest pet peeve all these years.
We need some distinct levels. I will tell you the one thing that I won't say it bothers me, but it's hard to say starter classes these days.
It is.
Some of them cost a little less than others.
I feel that, like, whenever I say that word, I feel like I'm offending somebody, and I'm not trying to. Like a good hot farm's still a 6-figure tractor in the Midwest.
Yeah,
and that's not a starter class. You know what I mean?
The other thing I'll say too, and I love watching the big classes, whether it's your guys in the limited pro, the diesel supers, the big light super alcohol tractors. But there needs, we can't all have those. And we need a place for guys to pull. Some people, they will be at the regional level for a multitude of reasons, whether they don't have time to travel, maintenance on a vehicle. There's several things that we can offer. But I think where it's fallen down in a lot of groups is we need to be as professional, and we need to put the same effort in the production as they do in the main national series.
Agreed. 1,000,000%. And that's the thing with a good state level association. It doesn't mean you have junk. It just means the guys don't want to go 8 or 10 hours from home to go to a pull. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's really where, like, I live in Wisconsin, and the Badger State Tractor Pullers are the premier group in the state of Wisconsin. They have 13 pro stocks. I mean, badass pro stocks. They go compete anywhere. And I've always said to them, I used to say those, a state level association should not have pro stocks. And that's for national polling. We're confusing the fans. And the guys always say, Jason, I don't have time to run to Chapel Hill, Tennessee, or, I just don't. I got to be home and farm, or I got to milk the cows. And when I heard that, Greg, I'm glad, I'm glad we had those talks. But these are in meetings and stuff like that. It was fun to talk through it. But you're right. Just because maybe you don't have a 3,500 horsepower pro stock out there doesn't mean you shouldn't prep the track correctly. You shouldn't run a fast-paced show. You shouldn't have good sound. You shouldn't have a good announcer. All the things that go into putting on a good truck and tractor pull, Greg. And thank you for saying that, because that's really that's the most honest thing you've ever or anybody's ever said on the show. So,
well, and the other thing that I really want to push, and right now it's maybe a little bit of a pipe dream, but if I can get more help, I want these small shows on Outlaw TV. I want to promote them no different than what you're going to see at a Wisner or Rock Valley.
Well, you're talking to the guy who runs Outlaw TV now. I just got that job 2 weeks ago. My team did. So,
well, put a little plug in, because if we can get some simplified, camera stuff, even if we can and get it to you later, I would love to get some of that stuff on that platform as well. Yeah, we are going to, I'm going to be just brutally honest. We're going to take a year and really learn it and get good at it, and get set up ahead of time and get good sound. And Ron has been awesome talking with me about ideas. And then Kaya, the intern they had last year, is going to stick around and help my team. I really want to get different angles. Like if you follow us on Facebook or TikTok or whatever, Ron's really pushing me on driver interviews like they do at Cowtown. We have so many ideas, but we should be able to have more, because this is the way of the world now too. I mean, cable TV is almost dead. And subscription-based TV and social media is going to be what it is, and that's going to be something good for everybody. So I'm excited to be part of that. I was honored when Kurt and Dave and Ron asked, the Beer Money Polling Team to take that over and do that. And honestly, I don't know what we can do this year. We already have 51 events this year. I need to learn a lot, but like you said, if we can maybe do a one-camera show and different things like that, Greg. And once I learn it all, I definitely feel like I can work with your team to have your events on outlawpolling.tv. We need to talk, because I've got some ideas as well. So okay, good. So Dan just joined us, but I want to go through the comments a little bit. Thank you so much. Like I said, minimum, Greg and I are going to do this once a month. We're not going to have a set schedule. It's going to be more, I'm going to get a text message saying, hey, Jason, I got to talk about a new sponsor. Or, hey, Jason, I want to talk about the schedule. Or we're going to try to have a puller on as well. But I want to flip through some of the comments here. Russ says, I see there's two different naturally aspirated two-wheel drive champs. Will there be a true champ or a pull-off? I'm not sure what he means about that. No, see, I tell you, here's the one hurdle we had joining the Mid-America and also the Heartland Polling Series is we literally all of a sudden covered almost 600 miles. Oh, wow. Almost defeats the division or the state group part of the thing, because it's hard to get a guy to run points 600 miles away. And we had some slight different rules and that brings on, for Russell, our biggest hurdle has been combining the rules. The naturally aspirated trucks in Mid-America had different head rules and some different rules than what the National Series guys did. Okay. And that has been an ongoing negotiation. It's not completely finished. We got a way where we're hoping they're going to work together. But that's been rough, because, everybody has their set of rules. Light Limited Super is going to be heading right down that same road, because us out west in the Mid-America, we have run basically a copy of the Gordyville rules at 6,200 pounds. Okay. We get into Missouri, Badger State, and they're 410 with coolers, no 466 tractors, which my guy there on the camera is running one. And he can't go run some of the places, and they run heavier weight. And we're hoping, through some time and building some relationships, that we can get some of these guys on the same page, so we can get, to me, the common rules is a big, big deal. Dan, that's your tractor on the screen now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I thought. I just want to make sure. That Mike Deagle photo. I'm going to flip through these comments, and we'll get into you, Dan. Just be patient with us. I talked to him.
No problem.
Okay, that was Dan. Great polling in Arizona. Great people down there. Jason Grout, I met him in Colorado, right? I'm sure I did.
Yep.
Yes. He's a nice guy. He helps out there with them, if I remember correctly.
NSPA.
Yes, NSP. Thank you.
Yep.
Ivan Miller says, great job keeping pulling alive in Western Nebraska, Greg. Brandon Holcomb, our head of tech for Outlaw, says, proud to have you in the Outlaw family, Greg. I would agree with that statement. Ron Stone says, Greg's a good dude. We usually run out of beer before we're done bench pulling.
Yeah, Ron's guitar is usually out by that time. So
yeah, Ron, when Ron texts you at 1:30 in the morning, if you don't want to stay up till 5 a.m., do not answer the text message.
yeah, just let it go.
Yep, I'm just going to be after the banquet at the Ozarks. We had rented a house because it's expensive for me to get a hotel room for every one of my people, so we just get a house. And we get a text message like, hey, you guys still up? We're like, yeah. Why? 10 minutes later, here comes Novak and all the Wisner guys and the guitar and a bottle of Tito's. And next thing we know, somebody says, it's 4:15. And we're like, whoa.
Sun's coming up, right? Yeah.
But we had a blast. So Dwayne Pfister says, hi, Dan the man. So I like that.
Nope.
A Facebook user says, amen. Somebody's watching on the face. We're live on 8 different platforms right now, including the Heartland Division Facebook page. So Dale Bartels, he's an Outlaw announcer, I believe. I love cameras at the launch. That will happen next year, Dale.
Absolutely.
I can promise you that because I know the guy that's going to be coordinating that. Dave Nelson's watching. Holy cow. How many young guns are you going to have in 2023, Greg?
You know, we're looking like, man, I think that we should have in the neighborhood of 10 young guns or more in our Heartland group. And the Heartland includes the Mid-America and out here. So, I mean, there's quite a few. And we're hoping, that is one of the things this year that kind of got lost in the shuffle. And we're hoping to highlight and do some more stuff with them, including the Titan Tire sponsorship, as well.
Yeah. Well, I talked to your son today, and, he's passionate about the young gun thing with your group, and I'm going to help him with some ideas. And I know Dave's working on more already to do more social media with the young guns, actually having the young guns take that that part of the social media over, because that's the world they live in. Comments like this, Greg, are probably what motivate you to do more. James Deverman says, more Kansas events. I'm tired of hauling my truck 4 hours every weekend.
John, careful what he wishes for,
because
I'm working. We have some polls and trying to chase some events in Western Kansas, and that may not be what he means either.
Yeah. But I know what you're saying there. But that's, it takes leadership, but then it takes an army of people to talk to fair boards and sponsors and put it all together. So,
One other thing I'm going to throw out that Dave and Kurt did for me, and this is something that I think is a really good selling point for if somebody did want to join. Like I mentioned, we got started incredibly late, right? And so February, we get everything going. 2 weeks later, title sponsor. 2 phone. I mean, that was incredible, because that's awesome. You don't go chasing sponsors in February.
No,
no. And
no,
they brought on Titan. They brought on Titan Machinery, which is a group of Case IH dealers. So they were able to co-op with the Case IH corporate, and it worked out phenomenal.
Awesome. That's great. Adam Serve says, hi, Dan, Jason, and Greg. Hello, Adam. How are you tonight?
Hello.
He's watching on the Facebook. And then James Deverman says, Colby is fine. So I must be a poll in Kansas, maybe. So
Colby, yeah, Colby's one I'd love to be at. We're in Goodland, the hometown of the infamous Scrappy.
Doug Meisinger. So
yeah, we do that one. We've done that one for a couple of years now, but Colby's just down the road, and it's one we'd love to get.
Okay. Well, there you go. James, make it happen. Sharon Cooley says, this was my first year of pulling, and I had a blast. The pulling family is amazing. Nice comment there. I like to see that, Sharon. Tyler Spatansky, Dan the man. So.
Careful. This guy's kind of a infamous himself. So
it's all good. It's all good. Dan Christensen, welcome to, we haven't really named our show yet. Heartland Division with Greg Lussetto. We're going to whip up a quick name there. Dan, tell us a little bit about yourself. I'm not that familiar with you at all. Greg says you're a good dude. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your pulling family, and we'll chat. So,
this is my first year with my own tractor, I guess. Been running with Brad Zach and the Dark Horse tractor now for 4 years. Run his tractor part-time, and finally got mine on the track in June or July this year. July, or late June, wasn't it, Greg?
Yes.
And yeah, it started probably when I was 19 years old, running around with a friend of mine that had a tractor, and he let me run it once in Pueblo, Colorado, and been hooked ever since. As a little kid, used to sit on the fence. My grandparents lived quarter mile from Lyle and Todd and Melvin Nelson, and when we could hear the tractors fire up, we'd sit on the fence and watch the smoke blow. So I guess I've been hooked at an early age.
Yeah, if I had a penny for every puller that's told me that, because I'm the same way. I'm ruined for the rest of my life with this truck and tractor pulling thing too, Dan. So
yeah,
a lot of people don't know my tractor's named the Remedy because my wife has said tractor pulling is a disease, and that's truly where the name of the tractor came from. And she said, "You and your dad will spend money you don't have and time you don't have to go tractor pulling." And she said, "It's a disease." And I said, "I love you, babe." And I named my tractor Remedy. So it's all good.
That sounds about right.
Yep. So again, if you're just joining us, Greg Lussetto and I spent the first probably 30 minutes of the show just talking about the history of Heartland, how we got to where it is today, and then how beneficial it has been for their group to connect with the Outlaws, a national association, from an insurance standpoint, from scheduling, like using the Outlaw app. And that is honestly, Greg, something that I hear from every NTPA, every PPL puller, and that when they come to like a Outlaw pull, that there needs to be an Outlaw app in every association. It's awesome. So
it's one of those deals that hooks you, and then once you don't have it, you're like, what? How can we function without it?
Yeah. No, I love just driving to the poll and signing up, and then I love being back. If you're later in the class, you can check the distances because you always can't see the scoreboard, and it's awesome. It's awesome. So, all right, Dan. Enough about Greg and I. So
you're fine.
You started pulling with Zach and the Dark Horse, and then I want to know specifically about your tractor.
I found it on Facebook, on Pull Off actually a couple of years ago when we were in Gordyville, and tripped my trigger and got a hold of the kid. He had it sitting in his garage, and started nosing around and discovered the history of it. And it was actually Gary Whiff's original Deer Fever tractor.
Ah.
And it went back east, I believe, to a guy in New York, and he campaigned it for a few years. And then Andy Dutton in, I want to say, Anderson, North Carolina.
Yeah, I know they're out in the Carolinas. So.
Yep. And he ran it, and then it ended up in this kid's garage in Montana, and he never put it together and put it for sale, and I got it bought. So this is the first time that tractor's ever blown smoke.
And that's in the light limited pro class, right?
Light limited super stock.
Light limited super stock. Okay, so what are the basics? What are the basic rules or specs of that class? Cubic inch, turbos, etc.
I run 466 with a 3x4.
Okay.
The other combinations, you can run 370 on alcohol with the 3x4 smooth charger. There's 410 cubic inch diesels, just like Badger State, with the 3x4 and a cooler. Or you can run 315 on diesel with twin 3x4s and a cooler.
Okay, gotcha.
There's quite a few combinations.
Now, are those kind of the national rules, Greg, that you just commented?
Oh, careful what you say there. We were never able. I sat on some of those meetings. We were never able to really get it hammered out because Kentucky wants to do one thing and Badger State does their thing. And I'll just say none of them are wrong because they have good quality classes, but it would sure nice to see something get put together, nationwide.
Yeah, no, we joke all the time about the light limited super stock class. And that's if we ever have, we always say, get the popcorn and just watch pulloff.com.
Yeah. If you ever get bored, just drop a comment on Pull Off and start the fire.
Oh, I like it when the light limiteds are running because I don't get anybody picking on me. So I enjoy it. So.
Yep.
Maria Miller says, this is my first year of tractor pulling with a Corvette. I'm married into the tractor pulling family. Thanks to the Miller pulling team, the Lasetto family pulling, for welcoming me in. So, well, welcome, Maria. So, I got to find this picture of this Corvette. I saw the video. It was on our video that we played a little bit ago.
Yes, it was.
Yep, good deal. Dan, what makes tractor pulling so great?
The friendship. Or more so, you end up being family before it's all said and done. But just how everybody will step in and help each other. And, Dave Todd, he's a competitor of mine, and have him back me into the sled. It's just we all help each other, and it just you're friends till you drop the visor, I guess, and then you're competitors.
Yep. No, I that's so true. So true. So how many pulls do you guys have a year on the Heartland series, Greg? Or Dan, how many hooks did your class have this year?
Yeah, we've ranged usually between 10 to 15 hooks out here. This year it's looking like we're going to be right around 10, and we should be right in that same neighborhood on the eastern side. So, within the division in the two sides, we should have right around 20 hooks.
Okay. That sounds good. I know Ron's trying to add more light limited super stock hooks to the Outlaw as well. Dan, where do you live at? Are you in Nebraska or the Dakotas? Or
Dannebrog, Nebraska.
Okay, so
right
what's
dead center.
Okay, so what's the closest Outlaw hook that I would consider like the Outlaw hook?
Jason, I think he could dang near hear your generator from his house in Ravenna.
I'm tempted to keep that damn thing now. All the crap you guys are doing.
Yeah, sorry about my comment there, Jason. I was just curious.
Oh, it don't bother me, Dan. I can take it. I can take it. So
no, they're probably 30 miles from Ravenna, or give or take a little bit.
Yeah, and Ravenna is one of the longer runs for me, besides Windsor, Colorado, from Wisconsin. So it's like almost 9-10 hours out there. So
yeah.
Yep. Now, have you named the tractor yet, Dan?
Yeah, I have. I just the paint was barely dry when I pulled it out of the shop to take it to the track, so I never got the lettering done. So it's called the Wanted.
The Wanted. Okay, cool. I like. No, a lot of you John Deere guys have been getting together and not putting anything on the side of the tractors anymore. I can't even tell who all the pro stock guys are if it wasn't for their helmets. So that's how I know them all apart. So. Yep.
One other thing I'll mention, this guy here was 1 or 2 points from taking home a Thunderbolt at Wisner with that tractor, pulling in the Cast Light Super Class.
Ooh, I did not know this.
Yeah, I got lucky there.
No, don't call it luck. Don't call it luck. It is what it is. It is what it is. There's a nice close-up there of Dan the Man, Lasetto. So.
Yeah, sitting there wearing his competitor's hat, too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's got my competitor. Is that a side piece shirt?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and that's my competitors. Yeah, Dan, Dan's gonna have to go in the penalty box, Greg. I put him in the penalty box for 5 seconds. All right, you're out of the penalty box, Dan. So.
There we go.
Yeah. Jason, you need to ask him where he went today and what he did.
Well, you can ask him too. You can ask him too.
I think I just did.
Yeah.
Went to unload cattle feed for a rancher in south of Alamogordo, New Mexico, and pulled into the military bombing and rifling range and had to call and get permission from the military to proceed to unload my load.
Wow.
Yeah, the rancher never bothered to tell me that when I was headed to his place.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
Why does a rancher does he have cattle on the bombing range?
There was some cattle in a pen there. I don't know how that all works.
Sounds like targets.
Yeah.
Well, that could have been. Yeah, that could have been.
Tyler Spatansky says that run in Wisner was picture perfect, Dan. I like that.
It was. It was probably the best ride I've ever had on a tractor. It lifted that front end up and carried it to the end.
You're going to have a couple of those every year, Dan. That's kind of it's like when you play golf. You can suck, but if you hit the ball once, like good time once, you're like, oh, that brings you back, and that's kind of what.
Yeah.
Then he can go to Humboldt and lock the transmission up in one run, right, Dan?
Yeah.
Does the military know you put that base on Facebook? Well, they do now. I guess. I've been in Facebook jail for worse than this. I've been in Facebook jail for worse than this.
One thing I will say too with Dan, man, he traveled a lot this summer because he pulled on both sides on the west and east side of our group. So he put a lot of miles on. Went to Humboldt, Iowa, which had to be an 8-hour trip for you. I mean, he put some miles on for us.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, it was a long summer. I think I figured between running with Brad, helping fix Brad's tractor, fixing mine, I think I spent about 7 days at home this summer.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was a long season.
This looks like I got some video here. Let's see here. You tell me where this is, Dan. Is this West Point? No. Were you at West Point?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Because I see the screen. It looks like West Point. This West Point?
Yep.
Okay. Well, it sounds good. So I like it.
And then my crazy mother standing on the track cheering.
Yeah.
You gotta have all of them.
Yeah, it ran very well there. That was actually the first pass I made with the tractor that I had a tack. So
Hey, those always help.
yeah, immensely.
So what are you drinking? What's in your tall can, Dan?
Iced tea.
Iced tea, perfect. David Sean Reed says, we blew up a few cows on the tank range at Fort Hood, Texas. There you go.
There's another guy.
Go ahead.
That old boy that David Sean Reed had a rough year. He got a new tractor together that you need to check out. It's a little alcohol, light limited super. And about the third run, he blew up more than cows. He pitched rods and all kinds of stuff. We were looking forward to having him hook with us a few times, and we're really hoping. It's looking like we're going to have a few more Iowa hooks not too far for him. So we're hoping to see him out next summer.
Good deal. Dale Bartle says everyone should go to Humboldt, Iowa.
Oh,
that was an awesome pull.
It was a great time. We had 3 classes, and we didn't have great numbers, but man, you should see the crazies with stock gas pickups.
Yeah, they come out of the woodwork.
Oh, mercy.
Yeah. That was probably the loudest crowd we had all year.
Yes.
Good. I love it. Dale Bartle says West Point was the best Heartland pull he announced. That's awesome.
Yep. He does a great job. I hope he gets to do some more of our events.
Just point to that guy above you, Dan. He decides. So.
Yeah.
He even came to the brush pull for the final NSP event, had a great run at that event. Jason Grout says that. That must be you, Dan. So.
Yep.
Okay. And just so you know, that's not a brush pull. That is Brush, Colorado.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yep.
So we got to be careful. I don't want to make anybody mad, Lasetto. So.
Yeah.
Susie Todd says most of his videos are on the Deuces Wild page on Facebook. Awesome. I'll look at those. I need to wrap this up in about 5 minutes. So I want to start winding her down. But yeah, I'll go look the Deuces Wild page. I'll look that up super fast. Is that the hat you had on in the tractor, right?
Yes. She's actually the one that set my Facebook account up. I was trying to be the last person in the world to have Facebook, and I get a text message one day, hey, you're on Facebook. So,
well, you know how some of these guys are. Dave Todd has to go on his wife's Facebook to watch videos.
Yeah.
Dan didn't have that option, and Susie wasn't around that much. So
I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot of people happy I got Facebook. I think Dwayne Pfister was probably about ready to kill me. Every time I'd find a part, I'd call him and tell him to get on Facebook and get a number for me to see if it was still available. So I think there's a lot of people that were happy I got Facebook.
And what do I get out of it, Dan? You take a picture of me on a John Deere tractor.
Well, I know.
That's what friends do. That's what friends do.
Exactly. I'm sure there'll be a payback.
That's what friends do, and Dan.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, you've been called out.
I'm sure it won't be the last time.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt. We're gonna work on the video feed for Heartland. Just let me figure it out first. But I'm definitely it's on the to-do list. I can promise you that.
Yeah, and the unfortunate part of what so much of this comes down to is help. And we'll be looking, and that hands down is probably one of our biggest struggles in the small organizations, and the people that help, you can't thank them enough,
Yep. No, I agree. Tyler Spatansky wants to know, do we need to have another concert with Ron Stone at Lee this year? Is there a good story there, Greg? You're shaking your head, or
well, I wasn't at Lee. I'm sure Lee was a good time. I've pulled there. It's pretty good, but I mean, we'll go to a fair manager convention. I'll probably get one of those because he'll probably, like you said, find my room after it's over. And
Yep.
Yeah,
Except
we
you want to
was a
go to
good time.
bed. Pretend you're sleeping. Just pretend you're sleeping.
Yeah.
This is for you, Dan. Randy Hayes says, talking about the time you had to jump on the plyboard or wood plat as you went down the track. I'm not sure. Maybe I don't know who that's for. Does anybody recognize Randy Hayes' name?
I don't.
That can-
Dan's not quite that old, I don't think.
He's watching on YouTube. So not sure.
If it happened after, there's probably a reason why I don't remember.
Yeah.
Rod Crawford says, thanks to Greg and Dan for coming to Western States Polling in Arizona. So this Western States thing, Lasetto, stay on that, okay? So
Yeah, well, I tell you what, I think that could be a fun time because we're going to try. Our goal is to try to get a group of pulls in March to where we could get some people to travel before the farming hits. The weather's great down there, and we're going to see if we can't get a group of pulls where you could vacation pull down there.
yeah, maybe like a little sweep or something.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, they got a good little track there at Wilcox too. I was a little worried it was going to be a sand pit, but it wasn't. It hooked good and the tractors run great.
Yeah, awesome. But it's fun to go to new places too, Dan, like that and check it out. That was a fun thing for me running Outlaws this year. You're trying to run the whole series until my tractor said no more after Wisner. But I went to a lot of towns that I'd never been to, and honestly, some of the smaller towns were the most fun because they were like so excited. Like Pawnee City, Nebraska. I will never forget Pawnee. I had never heard of Pawnee City, Nebraska in my life. The fans, the kids, oh my God, it was a hoot. That was one of those late night ones. So
this one that Kaylee just threw out, Ashton, is one of my favorites. And literally, they have a hillside. They back pickups up. I mean, it's phenomenal. They got trees along one side of it with some small grandstands, a great track. It's just a fun environment for a state level pull. It's kind of like back to the old days.
Absolutely. It's probably one of it'd take you back to an old school pull back in the 80s. It's got that kind of atmosphere and it's a great time. It's one of my favorites. It really is.
Love it. Ron Stone says it's all your fault, Greg. So
yeah.
David Sean Reed says we need to get the 410 cooler tractors and the 466 tractors and run them straight to see how close they are.
Absolutely. I agree. I think there's a lot of fear with the bigger cubes is going to outpower the smaller, but I don't think so. I mean, we run with them in Colorado at Windsor, and then we run with a couple at the state fair. And I mean, we were all right there. There was 4 of us, and I think, what were we, Greg, within 4 feet from first to fourth?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's when Badger State added the Alki tractors to the diesel mix, and that was like they were one of the last state associations to allow that. I think there was a bunch of data that went into that, and they kind of found out there's certain tracks the Alki tractors liked and certain tracks the diesel tractors liked, but at the end of a season it's going to shake out. So,
and I love the variety of it, honestly.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's why I chose that class. It's just you're not going to find a class with more diverse colors and combinations than you are that class, and it's a fun class, and it's a fun ride.
Yep. Matt Hamada, I got to wrap this up, guys. I'm sorry, Greg. It was easy to fill an hour.
We need to schedule this and do it on a regular basis. I mean, I'd be thrilled to do so.
Wednesday nights are going to be our best bet, just so you know. So,
well, if this works out, that's what it is. That sounds good to me.
Because I have Badger State at 7 on Mondays, then my Let's Grow Pulling at 8, and then Tuesday nights is Outlawed with Ron, and then Wednesday nights can be us, and then Thursday nights I do a power ranking show, and then I do the West Coast show every other Wednesday. And I want to start a behind the lens where I start interviewing pulling media like Mark Hams of the world, and then I want to do a behind the mic, start interviewing announcers from all over too. There's not enough time in the day for all my stupid ideas, so it's all good.
Yep.
So,
very good.
But Matt likes your idea. Pulls in March. Mark Ham says hello. Adam, the schedule usually gets posted this spring, right? February, March is kind of
we're tell Adam we're probably about a month away. We've got it pretty solidified, but we're getting close.
Okay. Dallas Todd says Greg and his family always do a great job with the pull. Clark Ottman, Ed Walker, Pawnee City's where Larry the Cable Guy's from. Hey, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Mark says Greg is the man. Time to get back to work, Dan. That's what Chris Hunt says. So
Jason, I told him, I said, Seth Novak can do this. Why, he's driving down the road talking. I don't know what Dan's problem is.
No, Dan, I like this. No, good internet, good video. It's all great. So guys, I got to go do the West Coast show. Greg, Thank you for your time. This is going to be a hit. Thank you. It only makes it fun, guys, if we have a lot of people watching and commenting like we did like this. And we always I promise we'll always get a character like Dan on that we can make fun of. Okay.
I'm always available.
We'll make fun of him when he's not here.
Absolutely.
Have a good day, guys.
You bet. Thanks, Jason. Thanks.